Inshallah and Ashe. I'm right on time. Hit the button. But welcome to another fantastic Friday, you magical, energetic beings and wild souls. I am the Tanya D, your holistic Shaw medium, lunar guide, human mirror, here to reflect the cosmic currents moving through you and hopefully around you. I had a crazy vision about streams of grace in my early ether mornings, but we've moved just recently through the new moon in Pisces, a space of surrender, release, and spiritual dissolution, dissolving the solution, I guess. And now the fire has been lit. The sun has entered Aries, the beginning of the spring, the equinox, the spark of creation, the I am what I am and who I am frequency. So this is not just a new season. This is an identity reset point. This entire year is all about identity shifting, the year of the fire horse. But Aries doesn't ask who you've been. It literally asks, who are you becoming now? So this is where we begin to interrupt patterns of the old self, the loops, the reactions, the identities, the versions of ourselves that we have actually outgrown. Because you cannot step into a new timeline carrying an outdated version of who you are. So today we are actually going to explore the elemental energies moving through this Aries initiation. We're going to tap into the lunar guidance, of course. And possibly later, I actually haven't decided, I may or may not do some Cowry Shell Divinations for those who feel called. You've been kind of silent about the divinations. The art of divination was brought to the West, or through spirit, basically, is how I worked with Elder Malidoma Some. So go ahead and just take a breath, take a pause, get yourself centered and arrive in your body and prepare. Let's step into this next version of you together. And today, the moon, as we enter into Aries, is actually in the season of Aries, ahead of the sun. We've got a bookend, sort of, season. So if your natal moon is in Aries, this is your lunar kind of ignition point. With the moon moving ahead of the sun, your emotional body is leading charge or taking charge, initiating before the mind even catches up. So this is your moment of full body activation, instinct, desire, identity, all coming together and online at once. So you're not waiting for the new version of you. You're feeling it into existence. And if you want your personal moon medicine for this season, tune into the moon forecast on YouTube. That's where I break it down for each natal moon sign. But for the Aries moon natives, this is your ignition point. Your emotions are leading your evolution. I'll be sharing the Aries natal moon forecast for Aries season. And then we're going to dive into the rest of the BaZi, the elemental chart for that Pisces new moon. I will just say it was very different for me because I'm a reflector. And then I recognized it's also a water moon. My natal moon's a water moon. So share insights about this new moon for you and what seeds. I will say, what seeds of spirit were you planting and which ones are you ready to take action on? But here is the natal moons for Aries, the kickoff of Aries season. I will say these are a little edited this time. I will try and cut it short, but here you go. If your natal moon is in Aries. As the sun enters Aries, the zodiac begins anew. Fire returns to the sky, awakening courage, instinct, and the will to begin. Aries season is the spark of life itself, the moment where ideas turn into action and identity starts to take shape. This season reminds us that movement creates momentum, courage creates clarity, and sometimes the most powerful thing we can do is simply start. So let's explore how this Aries fire season moves through your natal moon sign and what medicine it brings to your emotional world. Aries season moon medicine. If your natal moon is in Aries, double fire initiation. Aries season begins with fire already burning before the sun even enters the sign of the Ram. The moon is already there at 20 degrees Aries, activating the emotional body before the solar identity arrives. So if your natal moon is in Aries, this is powerful. The season begins with your moon already awake. So this is not the new moon yet, but it is an emotional ignition. So think of it as the spark before the flame becomes visible. So during Aries season, your Aries moon may feel emotionally energized, impatient for movement or change, ready to initiate something new, even less tolerant of stagnation, protective, possibly overly, of personal independence, more instinctual than strategic. You may notice your emotions arrive quickly and intensely. This is fire moving through the emotional body. The key is remembering that not every spark needs to become a wildfire. And of course, midway through the season, the Libra full moon illuminates the other side of this fire. Aries teaches self, Libra teaches relationship. So this full moon is asking, where does independence need cooperation? Where does courage need diplomacy? This moment balances the flame. The Aries new moon, then, on the 17th of April, towards the end of the season at 27 degrees, arrives. So for Aries moons, this is a renewal portal, not quite a lunar return, but a powerful opportunity to reset identity, the ego, your root center, courage, and direction. So what you might ignite here carries momentum forward. And your moon medicine, your medicine for Aries season is conscious courage. What does that mean? Act with intention, not impulse. Channel energy into purposeful action. Protect your independence without isolation, and trust your instincts while allowing reflection. Move forward without burning bridges. So this is a season to initiate, not just react. And of course, a moon mantra, my courage leads me forward with clarity. So if you feel restless, energized, or ready for change, Aries season is activating your moon exactly as it should. The fire has already started. Now the question becomes, what will you create with it? Aries season reminds us that every beginning starts with courage. Over these weeks, the fire has asked us to move forward, trust our instincts, and step into a more authentic version of ourselves. The spark has been lit. What you initiated during this season now begins to take form as we move into the next chapter of the zodiac. Hala, and we have returned. So we're going to continue. If you didn't tune into last week's show, please do. I highly recommend it. But as we continue the four pillars, the elementals from last week, this really is your invitation to check out last week's show. We've been chatting about the four pillars of destiny, but also Western astrology. And what's really fascinating is how energetically and elementally, cosmically, these two systems divide the focus. So in the four pillars, or what's called the BaZi, this shows the structural elemental dynamics. And if you've ever had a divination with me, I incorporate your personal four pillars into the divination for more insight and personal rituals prescribed for your forces of adversity, whatever's happening for you at the moment. So this emphasizes cycles of transformation. And then Western astrology, this is highlighting the psychological and the archetypal processes. Together, they weave and they create this combined narrative, like an internal awakening into an external action and structural change or transformation. So there's this energetic story of spring happening for us, because things happen for us, not to us. They serve a purpose. You have to talk to Creator for that purpose. But if we translate both systems into one symbolic arc, The Pisces season, where this new moon just happened for us, was all about realization and emotional clarity, like self-reflection. New moons are where the truths are surfacing, in case this one. And then the equinox, this is where the energy is accelerating. Then bring in Aries season, decisions and action. And I probably should have brought up the Aries chart, but this is where we're at. The dragon month, which comes after the rabbit, that's the consequences and the restructuring. So it's basically the moment where awareness becomes movement. So this period feels revealing. Why? Several symbolic layers are overlapping. We've got the Yin metal energy on the day and the month. That is the truth blade. The rooster, which is in the hour, that's the exposure energy. The rabbit is the ideals. And Pisces, the illusion. Virgo, access, the eclipse even. Discernment, so we're discerning. And then bring in Saturn, which is accountability. So when many symbolic systems point to clarity and accountability, astrologers often interpret that as a time when hidden dynamics, what's under the currents, becomes difficult to ignore. I call them energetic hiccups. So with that, there's this big takeaway I just want you to be aware of. The sky patterns around starting from March through April don't necessarily predict the chaos. They kind of describe a moment in time and space where people begin seeing things differently with a new set of eyes through a different lens. And once that happens, decisions change, awarenesses shift direction. Now, I don't have a visual for this, but actually maybe I do. I want to go over the 12 stages of chi or ki, whatever you want to call it, the chi. So the 12 stages of chi is one of the most elegant mechanics in all of the Chinese astrology or feng shui, because that comes into play as well. So it explains how strong or mature an element is depending on the seasonal branch that it is sitting upon. So that's why this Yin metal month and day sitting on the rabbit behaves like a refined blade revealing the truth rather than having this harsh cutting force. It's more elegant. So these 12 phases, they're kind of a life cycle of an element. And each element moves through these energetic phases, 12 of them, similar to a life cycle. And each phase describes how alive or strong or refined an element's energy or chi, life force, is. So there's a phase at the beginning, which is a birthing phase. There's a bathing phase. There's a coming of age phase. There's the official power phase. You probably can't see these on my chart. There's peak strength, like the peak energy of an element. There's also the decline. There's illness. There's death. There's also being in the tomb, separation, gestation, and nourishment. So think of this as the seasons of an element's life, and they play a very important part. So this Yin metal is in the rabbit month, and for that energy, the Yin metal, Yin or Yin, it's the same thing, and the rabbit branch, which is also Yin wood, corresponds to this phase called Jue, Jue. And Jue literally means severed, separated, or released, or all of the above. But in the metaphysical interpretation, it literally represents the detachment from the old cycle. I kind of see it as the fall and the leaves, even though we're in the spring, is what I want to say. The leaves kind of going through the harvest, molt is what I'm saying. So this phase is not about the brute strength. It's about clarity and precision. So this Jue phase feels like a truth blade because when Yin metal in the spring is in this phase, it loses heaviness. It becomes lighter, sharper, and it really cuts away attachments. Symbolically, this is when the metal acts like a fine scalpel rather than a sword. So instead of being a forceful kind of confrontation, the energy often manifests as the sudden realizations, quiet clarity, emotional detachment from those illusions. So it's the moment when someone thinks, I understand now. It's like the wisdom of it, and you get the memo. And the rabbit, the season of the rabbit, creates this effect. Why? Because the rabbit is pure, the pure essence, the authenticity, yin wood. What does that represent? It's the ideals, it's harmony, relationships, social diplomacy. Think of rabbits, community, right? They create a very rapid community very quickly. My neighbors got rabbits. I know. But also, when Yin metal sits on the rabbit in this Yu phase, wood provides the environment of ideals where metal provides that discernment. So this interaction then becomes compassion meeting truth. That's why this configuration, this elemental metaphysical configuration, often leads to this ethical clarity instead of conflict. So this double rabbit, I guess I don't need to show this anymore. This double rabbit, wrong space. I'm getting ahead of myself here. This double rabbit, there we go, and the double Jin intensified all of this insight. That was the purpose of it. So this chart having the rabbit month and a rabbit day, so that means Jin metal sitting in this Zhu phase twice, the separation phase twice. So instead of a brief moment of clarity, the energy became repeating insights. So during this new moon that we just experienced, people, you may have even felt like you were seeing patterns that you missed before, possibly recognizing those emotional truths, even understanding motivations of self and other more clearly. Then bring in the fire element. This is refining the metal. Knowing that our chart contains fire, we've got the yang fire horse, which is the year. So this energy is going, it literally transforms everything it touches. And the yin fire rooster hour. So fire melts, but it also purifies and gives shape to metal. So the energetic sequence then becomes fire creates the pressure, it's refining the metal, which then gives clear perception. So this is why this chart feels revealing rather than aggressive. Then, of course, the rooster matters again. The rooster contains that Jin metal, again, hidden as a stem. So the rooster, the hour of the rooster, is acting like a mirror reflecting all this metal energy back into the chart. So it's like it's the hour's out and then it's like diving in or getting thrown in like a knife or a sword. That's kind of what I see there. So combine this with the rabbit clash. This creates moments where truth surfaces unexpectedly, hidden dynamics become very obvious, anything that's hidden under the surface, and people recognize what was previously ignored. Then we have this zero water. This chart has no water. It's not even hidden. Sometimes the stems have hidden elementals. In this case, we don't have any. And that Zhu phase, again, that separation, dissolving. So remember last week, or now, water's absent. It's not there. And water normally represents emotional processing, reflecting, intuition, flow. And when water is low or absent and Jin metal sits on this Zhu phase, realizations often happen instantly rather than gradually. It's like those epiphanies and aha moments. So instead of slowly understanding something, the realization can feel like, oh, that's what's really happening. It's like the unseen becomes seen. And a lot of masters in Chinese metaphysics call this a refinement moment. And in the classical texts, That Yin metal in the Zhu phase is also associated with moral discernment, aesthetic refinement, ethical clarity. So this is like a justice cord, which it won't get into where this whole thing was coming from. However, the metal is no longer fighting for survival, it's perfecting itself. That's why the energy often pushes people to refine their relationships, clarify commitments, and literally it's time to remove what feels misaligned or is misaligned. So, the more symbolic story of this new moon, when we combine everything that we've discussed, the rabbit ideals and harmony, the Jin metal discernment and truth, the phase of this Zhu phase, which is detachment, clarity, bringing in the fire, the transformation, the symbolic story then becomes illusions dissolve, and when they do, truth appears, and then our life direction refines. So there's this quiet magic of this particular new moon where it's not explosive energy, it's the kind that changes things because people suddenly see clearly. And once clarity arrives, decisions flow naturally, organically. Another thing that I found myself quite fascinating is the timing of systems. So this Jin metal in this Zhu phase occurs during a horse year. Some practitioners in Chinese watch for what's called phoenix moments. This is times when individuals, groups, collectives reinvent themselves after seeing the truth about a situation, whatever that could be. Because this Jin metal, this refinement theme, the scalpel in March, this rabbit month, actually shows up 2 more times later throughout 2026, creating a repeating, refine, test, crystallizing cycle across the whole year. So in order to see it clearly, that's where we want to look at the Chinese solar calendar months within the Yang Fire Horse year. So I do want to bring up the 3 refinement windows of this whole year, 2026. There are periods where this Jin metal dynamic becomes emphasized again. I'm just going to give you some approximate timelines to mark your calendars for. So right now, being in the rabbit season, the rabbit month, truth emerges. And then during the rooster season or elemental season, September 7th to October 7th, generally, you'll have to check exactly because I haven't, but truth becomes undeniable. And then when we enter the dog, October 8th to the 6th, truth then becomes structure. It's a solid foundation. So each stage moves the insight from awareness to exposure to integration. So it's moving forward. So the rabbit month that we're currently in, this phase is the revelation. This is the period that we analyze the key mechanics where this metal, this Zhu's phase, the Jin metal, the rabbit, the rooster clashing, that's an activation. And then the fire horse is actually a year where metal is going to be forging all year long. So energetically, this phase often brings the realization, seeing those hidden dynamics, emotional clarity. We need the water. We don't want it scratchy. It's not going to be rusty either. But it's also quiet solitude, quiet turning points. So this is when people will be thinking something isn't the same anymore. But the implications may still be unfolding, kind of like plants bursting through the soil. I like that. And then the rooster month happening in September, October, the fall, Virgo energy, Libra. This is the phase of exposure. So this is when the mirror flips. The rooster is pure yin metal, pure metal energy. And it also contains that Jin metal in its hidden stem, if you look at the rooster here. So during this month, late September, early October, metal energy is peaking. It is at its peak. These are two opposing forces. And the rooster activates the rabbit rooster axis again. So these earlier insights that are happening for us now become visible realities. Themes often include accountability, public recognition of authentic truths, that discernment, and reputational shifts, decisive conversations. It's literally discernment at its peak. So now, being in March, March is going to reveal something internally, and then September tends to externalize it. So again, mark your calendars because this rabbit rooster axis matters again. The rabbit represents diplomacy, harmony, emotional sensitivity. The rooster represents exposure, precision, truth. This is like justice being not rewarded, but kind of, I guess. I won't go there. Okay, so the cycle looks like this. The rabbit is the awareness. The rooster is going to be the revelation happening later this year. It's the access. So it's the classic mask off moment. So the dog month in October, it's more Scorpio season, actually. The end. Actually, it's Libra, Scorpio, either way. October, November, the dog phase. This is the integration. So the dog being an earth branch, it contains fire and metal, those hidden elements for support. And earth represents stability, decisions, foundations, long-term structure. It's connected to Saturn, so it's the girth is what I want to say. And the rooster, after the rooster exposes the truth, then the dog month tends to bring in, the restructuring, commitments, changing systems, stabilizing, new agreements. I'm seeing like contracts, Saturn forming. So this phase answers the question, now that we know the truth, what do we build instead? So we've got this elemental narrative, a story happening for us. If we were to follow the elemental flow across these months, we've got the spring, which is the rabbit. This is the wood energy, the ideals being challenged by metal insight. There's a lot of metal. And then autumn is the fall. It's the rooster. Metal, the truth becomes more dominant. And then late autumn, the dog, the earth is going to stabilize this new reality. So symbolically, we go from clarity to exposure to restructuring. That's kind of the pattern there for us, because I always like to say things happen for us, not to us. But what's unique about this is the horse year is amplifying all of this. It's like a big sweep. And the year pillar, that yang, fire, horse, we've got this all year long. So the horse energy brings speed, passion, independence, momentum, also freedom. That's where I'm going. But fire, knowing that fire forges metal. So throughout this year of 2026, pressure from the fire year is going to be continually refining this Yin metal theme. In other words, this year is repeatedly asking, what is the most honest, authentic version of the situation? So you'll find many people, a lot of people may experience this cycle internally like this, inside, because it's yin energy. So in the spring, now, you may be realizing something important. And then summer comes, more fire, we're processing and adjusting emotionally. And then the fall comes, or the autumn, yes, speaking or acting on your truth using words. It's also connected to the throat center. Late autumn, when the dog happens, the loyalty of the dog, rebuilding life structures around this new reality. So there's a deeper symbolic energy here. In the Chinese philosophy, the rabbit also symbolizes compassion. The rooster symbolizes that truth, the metal, and the dog symbolizes the loyalty and the justice. And Scorpio's the executioner. So the year's story can be interpreted as compassion meets truth, and then truth demands justice. So if you're going through something right now, just know come the fall, autumn, the dog, the cycle is considered refined. So Jin metal represents that refined metal jewelry, luxury items, and refinement requires heat, the fire year, shaping metal months, and stabilizing the earth months because earth houses metal. So the energetic process of this year resembles the forging of a blade or a crafting of a jewel. Pressure creates clarity. So you might be pressured, but things will become clear, and clarity creates that structure. So there's this big picture and theme instead of one dramatic turning point. This year is unfolding like a 3-act story. So we've got the realization happening for us now between March and April. And then come the fall, the autumn, September, October, things are going to be exposed. October, November, there's going to be structural change. So each phase deepens the same theme. And the horse year plus the rabbit month plus a rooster month, this combo forms a pattern that's also called the gate of decision. So it's the incision of the decision. In periods when people tend to make life defining choices after a long period of uncertainty. So just looking and musing about this, because that's what I like to do, I'm an elemental girl. 2026, the cycle, this Yang Fire Horse, if you're not in the portal, because I go deeper in the portal. But usually we want to look at 2 layers to see who's going to feel these biggest life shifts. So it's always about the day master, the interactions with the yearly elementals, but it's also the branch interactions, whether there's clashes, combinations, or penalties. So when the year also contains a refinement trigger, like this rabbit rooster, some charts get activated a lot more strongly, intensely. And your profile, the ones that are going to most likely experience significant turning points in 2026, the rat, if you've got a rat in your day branch, this is the strongest life movement potential because the horse directly clashes with the rat. So in the Chinese, a clash with the day branch, which is also called your spouse palace, often indicates major life changes, possible manifestations. You could have a career redirection, relocation, relationship shifts. I witnessed this with my parents. They had a clash, seasonal clash, 10-year clash is what they're called. Lifestyle changes, new life chapters and beginnings, endings and beginnings. So clashes often feel like momentum pushing someone out of a stagnant situation. So it doesn't always or necessarily mean difficulty or challenges. It just means movement becomes unavoidable. It's like a directional crossroad shift. Rooster day branches. If you have a rooster day branch sitting where that rabbit is in this case, but you still got yin metal above, this is truth identity. It's an identity turning point. So identifying who you authentically are is what I want to say. And the rooster interacts strongly with the rabbit month of spring. Rooster months are in the autumn. So the rabbit rooster clash, this is activating themes that I've been talking about, is revealing hidden dynamics in those relationships. It could be professional reputation. The rooster's the voice, so is yin metal. So those things change. It could be redefining your personal identity, the inner world of your identity, how you want to be seen as. And you could have these moments where you're authentically just telling the truth, like not even throwing shade, just expressing truth outside of yourself. So rooster, if you're a rooster person, you may experience this mask off in situations like you're no longer hiding behind the mask and where things become very clear. Now, rabbit, if you have a rabbit day branch, I'm looking at the day. The day is the day. Oh, what do I want to say? The day branch, the day master is what I want to say. Day masters are always the most important in Chinese astrology. But I'm talking about the branch. That's the element right below the day master, if you don't know. So if you have a rabbit day master, this is relationship and emotional evolution, because the rabbit appears twice in this new moon chart. Rabbit natives, you're going to feel more amplified. You're going to have more sensitivity. So themes for day branches with the rabbit, if you don't know your chart, pretty easy to find. You can Google that. But this is redefining relationship boundaries and emotional clarity about those partnerships, because this is the spouse palace. So this is kind of where that energy, even what you attract, comes from. This could be changes in personal priorities, shifts in social circles, your friend groups, I guess. So this rabbit energy tends to seek harmony, but the metal pressure is encouraging this honest recalibration. And horse, if you have a horse day branch, this is identity and life direction shifts, because you'll have two horses galloping around all year long. So when your own animal matches the year animal, it activates your Ben Ming Nan. So this is the birth year resonance, if you will. So if you have a horse day branch, you may experience heightened self-reflection, major decisions about direction, and new ambitions or leadership roles. You could be redefining your own interdependence or your independence, freedom, because that horse energy is naturally seeking freedom and adventure. So the year may push you towards authentic alignment, whatever that is for you. It's about being more authentic to your inner world. The wood day masters, yin wood, similar to the rabbit, yin wood, it's called yai wood. I don't have a picture. I should have done that. But this is about growth through the pruning, yin metal prunes. So yin wood or yai wood represents the vines, the flowers, the growth that benefits from pruning. So of all the day masters, yin wood, the more you prune it, the more it grows. Think about mowing a lawn or trimming vines. They're endless. They come back. They're very vigilant. That's because yin metal dominates parts of 2026. So yai wood people often experience removing outdated commitments, restructuring your personal goals, redefining relationships, I was going to say boundaries, and refining creative direction. Wood is a very creative elemental. It's also fabrics in dynamics, tapestries, anything that's like, I just want to say authentic, eclectic, change agents, bursting, growing, writing. So this process can feel like a gentle but necessary type of pruning. So there's that. Now, yin metal, that's what we have right now with the rooster, not on the day. But if you have a yin metal day master, which is what our day is, this is identity refinement cycling. So we have this yin metal appearing strongly in the spring chart with this new moon. So if you have a yin metal day master, you could experience redefining personal values. Your career is getting recalibrated. There could be very strong personal energetic boundaries and shifts in those long-term commitments. So a lot of yin metal people experience clarity about what truly matters during this entire year. And then charts with strong wood and metal conflict like this one, if you already contain the conflict, the rabbit and the rooster, or yin wood, yin metal, multiple wood branches, you could experience stronger triggers during the spring and autumn, because those are windows for you of refinement. So that could manifest again as confronting or avoiding those truths, but you're confronting them this time. You could be redefining, recalibrating, editing personal priorities, and really making decisive life changes, like being certain about those. Charts with fire day masters, Bing or Ding. We got both Bing and Ding here, but I'm talking about the day masters. You're going to be thriving in 2026 because fire controls metal. So the year's dynamics may bring leadership opportunities, career breakthroughs, greater confidence in decision making. So instead of being pressured by the cycle, if you have a lot of fire energy, fire types often direct the transformation. My chart's full of fire, so I'm feeling this probably more than my average Joe self. There could be major life shifts usually appearing when the year activates your chart strongly. So the shifts usually show up in a few specific areas. It could be career, your life path, health, wealth, relationships, shifting industries, promotions, new responsibilities, and possibly starting like an entrepreneur, a spiritual entrepreneur, or independent work, like working alone. It could also be relationships because it's that relationship palace that's activated, and redefining commitments and meeting people that are significant to your trajectory, opportunities, and also, but ending those misaligned frequencies. You could move your location, just move home, cities, just shifting in your daily rhythm and redefining your priorities to self. It's also the heart. So, in the Chinese, it's not so much about events, it's about elemental balance. It's just highlighting where momentum gathers. So there's also this deeper pattern. If we want to look at the elemental storyline of the entire year, it really does resemble this refinement process because we have the fire horse, the years creating the pressure. Metal is going to be the moments where it's revealing truth, and earth months stabilize new decisions. Now, earth is a 4 times a year transitional energy. It's at the end of each season. It happens for us. If you're born in an earth phase, you're always in transition. Every time the earth feels like it's stable, all of a sudden we move into a new season. So this year is acting like a forge shaping our life's direction. So for turning points in a chart, the strongest activation group is going to be a rat day branch, a rabbit, a rooster, or a horse. You could have a Yai wood or Yin wood daymaster or a Jin metal daymaster. So if you carry any of those energies, your chart sits on the main energetic axis of this entire year. That's why I'm bringing this up. So when I was to look at or calculate which Chinese zodiac animals form a complete elemental triangle with the horse year, you're going to find a configuration that can literally unlock sudden opportunities instead of challenges. It's actually considered a luck activation pattern in this elemental timing. So if I want to look at that, the luck activation pattern connected to this fire horse year, every element and animal has a luck trinity, is what I'll call it, a fire trinity. This is the opportunity triangle. So this comes from the animals that can create this unique form. They create a 3-branch elemental combination. It's called the San He. So when all 3 appear in timing cycles, they create a very powerful elemental flow. So for fire, this young fire horse year, the triangle is the tiger, which is the initiator. We just initiated in the spring. The horse is the accelerator, and the dog is the stabilizer. So this trio forms the fire trinity. So what do I want to say? The tiger is the birth of fire. The horse is the peak of fire, and the dog holds fire in storage. So they all matter. So this horse year, this triangle is already partially activated. We've already gone through parts of it. So this triangle is going to be moving and completing anytime the tiger dog energy activates or meets the horse. So just know the tiger influences. So people with tiger in their charts, tiger days, months during the year. Dog influence is also activated. Could be October to November. Mark your calendars. People with dog energy in their chart, even dog people coming into contact with horse or tiger people, it's the same kind of frequency. So when the tiger, the horse, and the dog combine, they generate a very strong element of Qi. So this fire symbolizes visibility, reputation, charisma, inspiration, leadership, and more recognition. So when a fire trinity forms, it can also bring those sudden, unexpected opportunities, career momentum, public recognition, being seen, those leadership roles, creative breakthroughs. So this is why practitioners sometimes call this the fortune ignition pattern. I just want you to be aware, and just to be aware of who benefits the most. So tiger charts. Tiger provides the spark of this entire triangle. It's the birthing phase. So if you're native to a tiger energy, new ventures starting, bold decisions, unexpected opportunities. I kind of feel like that for everyone with this trinity. And dog, if you've got the dog stabilizes this fire energy. So you may see long-term career development, promotions, even recognition for past work that you may have done, even relationships. If you have the horse in your chart, the horse is sitting at the center of this triangle. And horse natives often, this is major personal momentum. There's leadership opportunities, life direction, and clarity. So this is balancing this truth blade energy that we talked about earlier with the yin metal refinement cycle. So this energy is bringing, again, clarity, truth, cutting away the illusions. But this fire trinity adds something even more important. It's the creative ignition. So this entire year is not just about removing what doesn't work. It's also about lighting the path forward. So this undercurrent, the story, when you combine everything, the energetic arc of this entire year, we've got the spring, which is clarity, realization, the season we're in now. The summer brings courage and action. It's the horse. And then the fall, the autumn, truth becomes visible. This is the rooster exposing. And then late autumn, new foundations form where the dog becomes the stabilizer. So within this cycle in this fire trinity, the fire trinity creates moments where opportunity suddenly appears. So I'm really excited. So in traditional Chinese medicine, fire years combined with refinement cycles, they teach us that clarity creates momentum. So focus and become clear, especially once the illusion falls away. This new moon, people suddenly have the energy to pursue what truly matters. So there's more to this, but I feel like we're getting there. We've been to our hour moment. But I do want to bring up the Pisces New Moon. It actually landed near a sequence of metal heavy days where these are clarity windows. And these moments when these insights and decisions tend to arrive unusually fast. So you may have noticed this like the day before the new moon, on the new moon, the 18th, there's an identity, you're able to see clearly through these windows. So these days were where the metal stems or strong metal, the wood dynamics, they're sharpening that perception, making our insights and decisions arrive very quickly. So the strongest days were the Zheng metal or yin metal day. I wonder, I might have actually fixed this so I can see it. Yeah. So this is a tiger day. The tiger and the rabbit are in an affinity. They're in the same direction. So this is truth beginning to surface right before the new moon. And Zhang metal is a raw metal. It's like a sword or a crystal, something that hasn't been refined, gold. And when it's sitting on the tiger, which is yang wood, a tree, the elemental cycle becomes metal confronting wood ideals. So this often produces the blunt realizations, decisive conversations, kind of aggressive in some ways, and sudden clarity about your plan. So think of this as the first crack in the illusion before the new moon actually happened. Then we have the chart I've been talking about for 2 weeks now. I just found this fascinating, to be quite honest. But March 18th, the Jin Mao Day. So we had this refined insight. This is a day where we analyze this whole last week and today. So that Jin metal is the precision, discernment, the subtle truth. And the rabbit represents ideals, diplomacy, emotional awareness. So the dynamic becomes refined truth revealing the deeper reality. So instead of confrontation, you may have felt I suddenly understand. It was like this crazy wake up call out of the blue. And then we have on the 19th, we have a yang water dragon, Ren Chen. This is emotional processing, where you're processing. So after the metal clarity comes, then comes in the water. Water represents intuition, emotional understanding, reflection. So yesterday may have brought some integrating insight, some conversations about what came to the forefront, what's being revealed, intuitive confirmations, subtle energy. So this is a moment when people may have thought, yes, that realization actually made a lot of sense, self-reflecting. Now, the secondary days, which we're getting to, this is today. These are slightly less sharp, but however, they're still active. So we've got a yin water snake of a day, water fire combination. So this day can bring emotional conversations, intuitive breakthroughs, creative insights, water. So it's a bridge day. It's a bridge between realization and also action. And then the equinox, because we're still in that, March 21st, tomorrow we have a yang wood horse day, wood and fire. So this is when the cycle moves from awareness to action. People often feel motivated to make decisions, start new plans, speak openly, and conversely. So this sequence is so interesting. The days around this new moon have created a perfect elemental progression, each phase and experience. So we went from metal, realizing, clarity, then water, where the insight is integrating, and then we've got this water fire, which is emotional processing. And then we've got wood and fire, which is the action we take is initiated, it's beginning. So it's basically a cosmic aha, integration, moving into a decision cycle. So if we narrow it down to the strongest moment was right before and during the moon, because that's when we got the yang metal, which is a sword energy, immediately followed by our Jin metal, which is that precision energy, precise, direct. So this pairing opens the door to sharper insight, followed by refined understanding. So when two metal days occur right before or during a new moon, it tends to coincide with other moments where hidden dynamics become obvious, decisions crystallize, people change direction quickly, like vast and quick. So this realization doesn't always feel dramatic. It often feels it's inevitable. The change has to happen. So this is a cosmic lens focusing things that were fuzzy suddenly come into sharp resolution. So you're about to see some of the most elegant mirrors happening for us, especially after this Pisces new moon and the Libra full moon that's happening for us as well. I'll dive more into that a little later, but they all play into this cosmic rhythm. So that was kind of a lot for today. Again, we're not doing any Cowry Shell Divinations, but I will see you next Friday. And yeah, thank you as always for joining in to my show. I think we'll just call that a cosmic wrap up because I kind of feel like sometimes I linger a little bit. So there's different themes that happen for us. In this case, we've got this refinement theme. It's going to carry out through the whole year into the energy of the dog. So just know there's clarity happening for you. You're going to have a self-realization. There's going to be justice that happens at the end of the year. Things happen for us, not to us. So I do like that. So this is going to bring us to a wrap for this fantastic Friday as we move through these early phases of Aries season. Just remember that this is the energy of initiation. We're not here to repeat the past. We're here to interrupt it. So to choose differently, to respond differently, to be different. And the new moon in Pisces cleared the field. Now Aries is asking us to step forward as someone new, not someday, not when you're ready. Do so now. If you're feeling the shift, if something in you is ready to break patterns and embody a new frequency, this is the work we go deeper inside of the coven, in the Fire Horse portal, or in a private session where we map out your personal energetic design, creating rituals for your next timeline, because transformation isn't just something you understand, it's something you embody. And as always, we want to honor the perpetual law of mutual exchange. What you receive, you circulate, and when you learn, you live. I am Tanya D., your human mirror, changing lives, igniting passion on the information highway while awakening the spirit. And if people can dim your light for no reason, then I can radiate your brilliance for no reason. So shine on, and I will see you next Friday. Ashe, blessings.